The Fake History of America, Christopher Colombus, a fictional character, the discovery of America, hoax, and mud flood buildings, coming up. In my Azores update video that I published recently, I mentioned the Christopher Columbus lie. And I wanted to show it to those subscribers who haven't seen this. This is a conversation between a journalist and a local person in the Azores. He's confirming through Plato and some other structures on the island that it is Atlantis. So watch that video if you are interested about the topic of Atlantis. I'm going to link everything in the video description below from the Minds article. So, the local says, was Plato a wise man? He challenged, obviously preparing for an extended semantic foray. Yes, he certainly was, he responded. Now please listen to what he wrote. He turned the grubby pages with solemnity. For in those days, he began, the Atlantis was navigable from an island situated to the west of the straits, which you call the Pillars of Hercules. He paused. That's Gibraltar, the way out of the Mediterranean. I nodded, he nodded. And from it could be reached other islands, and from the islands you might pass through to the opposite continent. He paused again. That's America. Plato knew about America? I laughed a little. Tony was not amused. So that started me looking at this, and let's go to the map. And let's start with the globe lie, obviously. And here is the Azores. Here is Portugal. And here is America, as you well know. And Gibraltar is here. That's Gibraltar, as you can see. That's the Strait of Gibraltar, or the Strait of Hercules. And this is the Mediterranean Sea. So that's how you get out from the Mediterranean Sea. And you will see an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean, Atlantis. And we have maps, old maps, where actually this island, I would rather call it a continent, was actually shown here. Look at some of my other videos. So anyway, you can go through these islands and go to the other side to America. So Plato knew about America. Now, if you go to Plato, we will see that Plato lived from 228 to 348 BC. And he was a philosopher in classical Greece and a founder of the academy in Athens. Okay, and we can go to also history.com just to make sure that it's not just Wikipedia. The Athenian philosopher Plato, circa 428 to 348 BC, is one of the most important figures of the ancient Greek world and the entire history of Western thought. Plato from Encyclopedia Britannica. Plato was born 428 and died 348, 347. Greek philosopher, student of Socrates, and teacher of Aristotle. Okay. Before Christ, right? So he was before Christ, the fictional character Christ, where we count the fictional years of our existence, and he knew about America. Now, he knew about America, but the Americas was supposed to be discovered in 1492. And before then, Europeans wouldn't have known actually anything about America. Now, let me go back to Plato's profile. Athenian philosopher. You know what is Athenian and Greek, ancient Greek? It's Greek. So let's go to Europe. and here it is, Greece. That's part of Europe, okay? So he was from Europe. And we are told that the first person who entered and discovered America was Christopher Columbus in 1492. And yet, almost 2,000 years before, Plato knew about America. Do you see the disconnect? Okay. So, here we are told that these groups are generally believed to have been isolated from peoples of the Old World until the coming of Europeans in the 10th century from Iceland, led by Leif Erikson, which I haven't heard about, so this is a new thing, I guess, at least to my reality in this Mandela-affected world. And with the voyages of Christopher Columbus in 1492. But in either case, more than 1,000 years between Plato and this Christopher Columbus character, which I believe is false, is a lie. So here is the voyages of Christopher Columbus in 1492, Spanish-based transatlantic maritime expedition led by Italian explorer Christopher Columbus encountered the Americas. Now, talking about Mandela effect, I remember learning in school that Christopher Columbus was a Portuguese and somehow probably sent by the Portuguese. But now it is the Spanish, and the Spanish send an Italian. Why not the Spanish? You know, it's just like there's a disconnect there. I'm not sure if you remember something else, just like me, or maybe another version. But this Mandela effect is really fucking my mind sometimes. Okay, so Christopher Columbus. Let's look at this article. Christopher Columbus. He was an Italian explorer, navigator, and colonist who completed 4 voyages across the Atlantic Ocean under the auspices of, or I'm not sure how to pronounce this, auspices of the Catholic monarchs of Spain. He led the first European expedition to the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. So it's the first European expedition. Plato shouldn't have known about America. Okay. They also say here, Columbus's early life is somewhat obscure, but scholars generally agree that he was born in the Republic of Genoa was an independent state in Liguria on the northwest Italian coast. Republic of Genoa, part of Italia. That's just weird. Like, why would Italy have a republic within it? I just don't understand this. Maybe I'm missing something. And a dialect of Ligurian as his first language. He went to the sea at a young age and traveled widely. Okay. Anyway, so I made some more research and I found this this blog called blogspot.com. And it looks like a really good website. I will link this obviously from my Minds article. And so false documentation and forgeries in Christopher Columbus history. I have often pointed out how much of the documentation utilized to support the official history of Christopher Columbus is unreliable. The fact is that forgeries were created over the last 5 centuries, documents were modified, details were invented, and facts were censored, discarded, and ignored. All of this has been presented in my various books on Columbus. I have succeeded in proving that the last will of 1498, also called the Mayorazgo, the 1498, was never written by Columbus, but fabricated during the inheritance lawsuit for the dukedom of Veragua. And he goes in more detail here. There's this fabricated will, and he brings up lots of different aspects. Needless to say, historians of the world over have been fooled for centuries by the many forgeries and adulterated documents and have agreed to a history which turns out to be a fairy tale. New research continues to reveal more and more lies in history books relating to Columbus and his discovery of America. The discovery of America. America was known long before Columbus, but obviously they had to make up a story for us to believe that this was something new after the reset, right? So reset, new people are introduced to different parts of the world and they have to be told some kind of stories. How did they get there, right? So the story that was invented for Americans is this: Christopher Columbus. And I went and clicked on this link to check his book, and here is his book, written by Manuel Rosa, Columbus, The Untold Story. And he's using a mask here. So I haven't read this book, but I'm sure this is a good one. So I'm just linking that one as well. And history.com about Columbus. Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer who stumbled upon the Americas and whose journey marked the beginning of centuries of transatlantic colonization. Now, even the official story is just so ridiculous. What we were told in school is that this guy was told by the Queen of Portugal or whatever, and he was a Portuguese, and he went to find India, right? And instead of going to the east, he went to the west because you can circumnavigate the globe, right? Again, the globe lie, just so that you are programmed in every way. And instead of finding India, he found America. Like, what a coincidence! You know, like, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, you just sail, and oh, there is a huge continent, and let's call it America. I mean, what? Oh man. Let's go further. Biography.com. Now, what I also want to show you here is this: Christopher Columbus, explorer 1458 to 1506. Famed Italian explorer Christopher Columbus discovered the new world of the Americas on an expedition sponsored by King Ferdinand of Spain. I thought it was a queen, and now it is a king. I'm not sure. There's just so many details here that seem to be wrong. Now look at this picture. So this was apparently someone actually pointed out that it's not apparently. Pardon my pronunciation, but you're right. Apparently, this is how Christopher Columbus looked like. Okay? Now here's another picture of Columbus. Does it really look like the same person? I mean, it looks like they couldn't get it right. It looks like a totally different figure. I mean, these people knew how to paint, and yet it's just like two different persons. And I'm not sure if there's more here. There is no. Okay, so just remember that. When was Columbus born? Christopher Columbus was born in 1458 in the Republic of Genoa and Italy, what is now Italy. And that was a republic. Again, something we didn't know. Republic of Genoa. Let's go back here. I'm now really interested in this Genoa, Republic of Genoa. Like, there are countries like I've never heard about, honestly. Republic of Genoa, and it existed between 1005 1797, which means from the 5th year to the 797, because 1000 years was invented. You can watch my other video about it. And this was like republic, independent state, and the republic began when Genoa became a self-governing commune within the imperial kingdom of Italy. Okay. It's just like out of the blue there is this new republic. Okay, no problem. So let's go back and look at Christopher Columbus. Italian Cristoforo Colombo, Spanish Cristobal Colon. Now here's another picture of Christopher Columbus. Look at this picture. this picture, that picture, and this picture. Do these three pictures look alike in any way? And here's another one of Columbus. Like, you can't make this stuff up, you know. You have to see through these kind of things. And when something looks suspicious, it's probably because there is some kind of falsification going on. So it seems like to me, I'm not sure why I'm clicking on this. It seems like they had this fictitious character, Columbus, and they just pulled together different paintings and artwork, say this was Christopher Columbus, and they cared not that they didn't resemble, because they think we are so stupid. That's what those entities who rule the world think of us, especially of white people, right? I'll talk about that later. I'm still researching that subject, but it seems like they are really against white people, contrary to the belief that black people are the ones who are discriminated. Anyway, these pictures just don't seem right. This guy doesn't look like this guy at all. Like, look at these. Not only the beard, I don't care about the beard, but you know, the facial structure. Look at the facial structure. Look at the eye. It's like not the same guy, is it? Here is Columbus again. Again, just a totally different person there. Here's another Columbus picture. Let's open this up. Another Columbus picture. Totally different. So yeah, that's about that. And here's one more. The Mariners Museum and Park. Explorer, Age of Discovery, Christopher Columbus. He is credited for discovering the Americas in 1492. Although we know today people were there long before him, his real achievement was that he opened the door for more exploration to the New World. That's the first time I hear this. That other people were there long before. What people, they don't actually specify. But if you look at this picture, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Look at these guys. It just doesn't look the same person, does it? Okay, so then I found this website, age.com, and it is some Jewish website, and they talk about Christopher Columbus, a secret Jew. That's interesting. The real identity of Christopher Columbus, let me make this bigger for you. So, where am I? The real identity of Christopher Columbus sheds new light on the poignancy of this historical period, especially for the Jews. To gain a better understanding of Columbus' legacy, it's important to know the historical background of his life. Columbus lived during the time of the Inquisition, during which Anuism, Jews who practiced their faith in secret, were under constant threat of arrest and torturous death. Tens of thousands of secret Jews were tortured during the Spanish Inquisition, many dying a martyr's death. Columbus' identity has been shrouded in mystery and debated for some time. The Italians claim that Columbus was born in Lugano, Italy, to Domenico Colombo, a tower sentinel. The Spaniards claimed that he was born on Spanish soil to a father with a different name and trade. Recently, as reported by Charles Garcia of CNN, Spanish scholars Jose Erugo Otero Sanchez and Nicolas Diaz Perez have concluded that Columbus was in fact a secret Jew whose voyage to the Indies had another altogether different objective than he claimed. Interesting. Like we have never heard this before, that Jews have a different interest than what they reveal. Okay. Let's leave it at that. A secret Jew. And this is the article. Was Columbus secretly a Jew? And it's on CNN. Okay. If you want to, you can read all that. So that's about Christopher Columbus. So basically the whole idea of the discovery of the new land, the new world, is based on this fictitious character, and Plato knew about it. He was a secret Jew. You make your own conclusion. Now let's look at some buildings, and these leads were sent by some of the awesome commenters of the community. So Gopnik guy 9 hours ago. Portland, Oregon has many mudflood buildings, most notably their old high schools. Place to take a look at Benson Polytechnic High School is definitely a mudflood building. So I just Wikipedia'd it, and there we go. And I downloaded one picture. It was this picture, for instance, is 1920, and this is 1916. So I downloaded this, and I'm going to open that for you so that we can see it bigger. And yeah, that's pretty much the kind of so-called colonial architecture. Look at those pillars, how huge they are, those intricate details, the carvings. And it just looks like a usual, Tartarian building, really. But if you go to the left side, you will see something interesting. Look at that. You see the windows right below the ground level? Why is that? It looks like to me that this whole floor had been buried under mud after the flood, and they just built all these things on top of it. Look. Like this foundation, look at how, if this was really just a foundation, how high this foundation is. It's as high as the door, and usually a door is taller than a usual person. So the person high is about this, so person here, it's almost like, I don't know, it's definitely like 10 feet. I guess I'm just converting by about, more than 2 meters, 2.5 meters. That is just the foundation plus what the foundation is underneath. 3 meters, 4 meters foundation for this building. I mean, give me a break. Like, why would you need that? It's just 2 floors. It's not like a huge skyscraper. You need such a huge foundation. But no, look, this foundation is not a foundation. This looks like a different material totally, and there's a different floor right there in that material. So yeah, that's that. And I wanted to look at the Google Maps, and there are some pictures here. So I opened it up, and obviously you can zoom in here. And really nice pillars, obviously. And here some more windows underground. So I was like, let's go and check out the street view. If you can see something more there. Let's just do that. And there we go. This is where it kind of starts, right? This is where it starts, and if you go here, you'll see it's kind of mud flood windows underground. And look, like even in the stairs, can you see that? In the staircase, look at that. Like, how does this make sense? You build a stair going up to the door, and under the stairs there's another door and windows looking down. It's like, it's so clear that this is mud flooded, right? Look at that. And it's just crazy stuff. And this is now the front. We started from the other end, and this is what we have seen from the pictures here. and I'm sure we would find some more. Let's go a little bit further. Maybe there's something else on the other side. And yeah, I'm not sure what is here. We can't probably go there. But what we have seen, I think, is a clear proof. So I think that's it for the Benson High School. Here's another one from O.D. Odan. I live in Minnesota, USA. Check out pics of Fergus Falls State Mental Hospital, sanitarium, more recently used as regional treatment facility until approximately 2000. Built in 1888 for 3,300 people. A beautiful palatial looking building estate, one of many in Minnesota, like many everywhere. Minnesota got statehood in 1858. Pop approximately 6,000 people. All these numbers just don't add up, right? 6,000 people in 1858 and built in 1888 for 3,500 people. So more than half of the people were actually mentally ill. Interesting. All these numbers just don't add up. I had the opportunity to visit in 1997. I was one of the 34 visitors. At that time, less than 1% of its capacity. Very strange building with very strange energy. There were at least 2 levels underground with miles of tunnels running in all directions. Then check out St. Claude State Prison built in 1889. Pictures of the time curiously don't include the massive granite wall surrounding it. The prisoner-built wall was said to be one of the largest continuous walls ever built, second only to the Great Wall of China. I was never there, but St. Claude, Minnesota is my hometown. I'm 56 years old, male. None of the history we were taught ever made any sense to me. Mudflood does. Thank you. Okay, so let's go one by one. Okay, lots of information here. Fergus Falls State Mental Hospital. So that's it, Fergus Falls Regional Treatment Center. And let's see what they say about this. Background and design. By 1888, Minnesota state institutions for people with mental illness were badly overcrowded. Okay, badly overcrowded. Why was it overcrowded? The State Board of Health declared in 1872 that the facility at St. Peter Hospital for the insane were appalling and a disgrace to the state. Even after a second hospital was established in Rochester in 1877, conditions remained inadequate. In response to the state legislature, commissioned the third Minnesota State Hospital for the insane in 1885. They had so many insane people, right? Since the existing hospitals were in southern Minnesota, the new hospital was to be north of the Twin Cities. Among the potential locations considered were Brainerd, Fergus Falls, Sauk Center, and Alexandria. On December 14, 1886, Fergus Falls was selected as the hospital site by vote of 4-1. The name of the institution was changed accordingly to Fergus Falls State Hospital. The hospital was designed on a model established by physician Thomas Kirkbride. Kirkbride believed that the building design was an important part of patient treatment programs. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You have to build this building in a certain design because it's part of the patient treatment programs. And that's why design such a large colonial style, so-called colonial style Tartarian building, right? That's the story. You see what they are trying to tell you? They think you are crazy. They think you are actually insane. That's what they are trying to tell you here. I mean, this design to heal people, that's why they did it. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, can you? Oh man. The typical Kirkbride structure consisted of a central administrative structure in the middle with long straight wings that radiated from it. Patients lived in the wings, which were uniform, precise, and austere. The bare facade was supposed to bring discipline into patients' lives. I mean, just like crazy. Kirkbride asylums were designed to provide moral treatment. So it was designed that way to provide moral treatment. That included exercise, farming, entertainment, and classes like reading and sewing. Activities like farming and sewing provided occupational therapy and useful goods, but patients complained that they felt like chores. Let's read a little bit about history as well. Designed by architect Warren B. Donnell, the Fergus Falls State Hospital was one of the last Kirkbride structures built in the United States. The hospital had a sprawling campus and large stately buildings in accordance with the Kirkbride plan. Only the west detached ward was finished in time for the hospital's opening in 1890. The other wings and the main buildings were finished by 1912. When the hospital opened its doors on July 29, 1890, it received 2 men from an outer-tailed judge. The next day it received 80 patients transformed from the St. Peter Hospital. The first patients were all men, and most of them were farmers or laborers. So what the problem they had with, what was their problem with these farmers or laborers? Women were not admitted to the institution until 1893, when 125 women were transferred from St. Peter. By the late 1920s, the hospital population was around 1,700, making it the largest mental health hospital in the state. As the institution grew, so did the town. So because the mental institution grew in size, the town grew as well. Like, does it make sense? Like, these people were in this mental institution, in this Fergus Falls State Hospital, and because of that, the town rapidly grew, because these people were let out. I don't think they were let out to go shopping, you know. I mean, what a story. And who writes these stories? Who comes up with these stories? It's just ridiculous. As the institution grew, the population in Fergus Falls more than doubled between 1890 and 1930 because of this. The Fergus Falls State Hospital quickly became overcrowded, even though it had been intended to solve overcrowding problems. So now this is the third in the state in Minnesota, and this is getting overcrowded as well. Patients could be admitted voluntarily, but many were sent by court order. What the fuck? Court order? This is like Gestapo. This is like the gulags, the Bolsheviks, putting people in jail for saying what they want. Most stayed for life. Over the course of the 20th century, hospital leaders were on forefront of treatments like occupational therapy and shock treatment. Shock treatment? They were shocking people? Occupational therapy and shock treatment. Do I read it correctly? Shock treatment? Or was it treatment for shock? I'm not sure. Anyway. Still, the court system treated the hospital as simply a convenient way to isolate social outcasts. Most patients were poor and had few resources in times of trouble. So now I understand. They say it here. It's in your face. The court system treated the hospital as simply a convenient way to isolate social outcasts. So basically, these farmers, these laborers, they just dared to think, maybe question the structures, the society, the fad, or whatever they were questioning, just like in Russia, they were questioning. And if you were questioning, you were considered an enemy. And not just in Russia. Now it's everywhere. So if you are in the US, if you are in the UK, if you are in Europe, and you question anything about history, about the globe earth lie, about anything that is official, you are considered to be a terrorist and to be a social outcast. And yeah, there are actual people, I heard about this, they are sent by court order to be in such mental hospitals, even though they are sane. So that's a pretty dark thing here. This was built basically, I can tell you. This designation for this Tartarian building was for the people who actually were sane. That's what I think. It was for the sane people. And it was a prison for them. They didn't want to deal with them, and they just imprisoned them in that. nice building, right? Look at that. So let's look at this building from a closer perspective. Look at this building. This was built, you are telling me that this was built, designed for the insane. Like, why would you design it in such a way? It's clearly a Tartarian building. Look at that. Like, why would you design such a thing for the insane? It just doesn't make sense, does it? And look at that. What are those? Are they halfway underground mud flood windows? What do you think? Oh man, it's just crazy. Look at that. It's not even halfway, it's just like 1/4 of it poking out from the ground, the rest is underground. It's clearly after the mud flood. It was redesignated. Such a ridiculous designation. Here's another one from Substreet. It's really nice pictures. And you can check all that. And some of these pictures, I mean, people were here and they said this. Why write who cares? They were just really fed up with the whole thing. Seam, ham, darn, stitch. Look at that. Look at that. Does it look like mud flood windows to you? Halfway underground, ground level? Why do you need those windows? It's just crazy. Looking out from the glass window, again, there is, just underneath, you can see that this is another floor, covered with mud, built upon. Look at that. You can see it here. Those windows, it's all mud flooded. And there was this nice decorative fireplace, they call it. I mean, look at this. Is this really a fireplace? Where's the chimney? And why would you make a fireplace out of wood? Does this really make sense? Like, do they really think we are insane? Like, honestly, why would you build a fireplace from wood? Wood is to be burned, and they build this around like this was a fireplace. I mean, give me a break. This was probably not a fireplace. This was some kind of energy device. 1914 postcard. I wanted to show you this because look at the size of this. I mean, from looking at this picture, you don't get the size of it, right? But from this, look at that. I mean, it's just crazy how big this is. Sunset reflected on the ward. Look at that. Windows, right? And then halfway covered, 3/4 covered, 3/4 covered. Look at that. Like, why would you design this building in such a way? So it's just like crazy. Yeah, that's pretty much it about the Fergus Falls State Hospital. So then I also looked at the St. Claude State Prison. Look at that building. I mean, this is a prison. This was built for a prison. Such a ridiculous designation, repurposing from a nice building, and this is now a state prison. I mean, look at that. Look at that building. Look at those intricate details. And it's just crazy. And this is now a prison. This is a prison. Okay? That's how they designate. It's now a state prison, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Can we see something else here? Perhaps. No, but as I was looking for this, I typed in Minnesota Correction Facility because that's what it was here. It actually, when I opened this, I tried to open it. It kind of didn't work because there was this special character. So what I did was search for this Minnesota Correction Facility, and there were actually more. So I looked at some of the others. Here's the list. And there's this other one, Minnesota Correctional Facility, Red Wing. And this looks also a bit interesting, to be honest. It looks like a church, and now it is actually a state prison. But look at that. Look at here. Can you see those little windows? Mud flood windows. That's it. Mud flood windows for the prisoners. What a redesignation. Here's another one. Minnesota Correction Facility, Stillwater. And why are those windows halfway underground? You see what I mean? And the pillar, the colonial pillar. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. They make these designations for prisoners, for insane, for the so-called lunatics. I mean, it's just crazy. Here's another comment from Jesse Jordan. You should also check out the Portland Regency Hotel in Portland, Maine, USA. Also check the US Customs buildings on the same street, a stone's throw away from the Regency Hotel. So, I typed in Portland Regency Hotel, and yeah, fair enough. You can see these are mud flooded windows. You can see here it starts, and here it is now halfway through only. So I then went to the Regency Hotel website, and I was like, okay, I find it. There's nothing interesting here. So I clicked on Historic Hotels of America in the footer, and I came to this website, and I browsed here, and I was seeing these. Look at these hotels. Do we build these kind of buildings nowadays? Ask yourself. I mean, look at that. Look at that. These castles. This is from an ancient time. Definitely before 1492, before Columbus. Yeah, the fictional character. Let's look at this. The Fairmont Copley Plaza. I'm not sure if we are going to see something here, but they just show the inside. But yeah, anyway, I thought it was crazy. So the next one is actually, what did he say? The US Customs buildings. So actually, how about just going to Google Maps and just checking this out as Jesse suggested. So Google Maps, and let's just see the what is it called? Portland Regency Hotel. Okay, and let's go to the street view. There we go. So let's see what we can find here. That's the Regency Hotel, and this is a really nice picture actually. So lots of drone has been here, and let's look around what we can find. What else we can find? People's United Bank. Okay, interestingly, this is going underground as well. Here, those windows, if you can see that. And how about that? I mean, it could be some hills as well, obviously. But, and I guess he was probably referring to this building. I'm already seeing it from far. There is an interesting building. I guess that would be the customs, right? This would be US Customs building, I guess. What else could this be? Designation wise, it looks like just following the trend. Ridiculous designations. Look at that. I mean, why would you build it in such a way? Like, does it make sense? Just to have the street level here, and then underneath it there's another level? And give me a break. And look at this structure. This is a usual colonial, Tartaric kind of structure. So that's it, guys. That's it, guys. How about we look at this now? This interesting building here, the Fairmont Copley Plaza. I would be interested as a last virtual tour. And I think they said Boston. Yeah, that's it. Boston. So, here we are. Look at that building. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. All those intricate details you can see again. Madness. Yeah, how about we go to the street and see how this looks like. Fairmont Copley Plaza. Let's drop our figure here, let's say over there, and see what we can find here. Oh, there is something more here. So this is the hotel, right? Look at that structure, look at that architecture, and all those details up there, the pillars. It's definitely not something that we nowadays build. And look at this. I'm not sure what this is, but it's right opposite on the other side. And this church, or whatever it is, it was probably some kind of energy manipulation, energy building or healing facility. These churches. Look at that architecture. Look at that. Right? And I'm not sure if you can see something else here, because they are going, it seems like there's some kind of reconstruction going on. Oops, there we go. Some windows there, almost underground. Interesting. There is this other building. I'm not sure, that's probably not such a building, but let's see. Okay, so anyway, that was that. Let's go back to our hotel. I want to see if we can go around it and find something here, let's say. Can we? Can we see something? I'm not sure. Yeah, not much. But it's definitely a nice building, and definitely not built by the current people, right? And I can see here some more things. Another church there. Let's look at this here. So Boston, another Tartarian empire. Part of the empire. So this is still the hotel, and here is another one. This is the public library of the city of Boston, built by the people and I guess for the people, right? Look at that. Look at that building. And we don't always find some mud flood windows, because sometimes the whole floor has been covered by mud, so that's why we don't see it. But look at those intricate details. Can you see that? I mean, all those things. Why would you do that? And nowadays you don't find anywhere people building such buildings. Yeah, by the people and dedicated to the advancement of the learning, right? Huge building, giant doors as usual, and made it smaller for the small people. Looks like made for the giants. And yet another church, another energy creation healing place. Look at that. I mean, this is out of this world for sure. I mean, look at that. This is how we build houses nowadays. And you see that? That's a building built by the modern new wave of civilization after the reset. This is before the reset. This has been inherited from our ancestors. So what do you think? Do you think it was really Christopher Columbus who discovered America, and it was the people coming from Spain and England and France who built all these buildings, or was it Tartaria? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'm off. See you in the next video. Bye.